You're now listening to All Hog Sports, covering all Arkansas Razorback sports, such as football, basketball, baseball, and much more. Now, here's your host for today's show, Sam Stimpson.
The Hogs play their 7th game of the season. SEC play hasn't started yet. That starts in the later part of December, on December 30th against Auburn. However, the game I'm going to be previewing today is against Oral Roberts on Sunday, December 20th. It is at 1 p.m. Central on SEC Network. It's at the Bud Walton Arena, and Oral Roberts is 3-4, but I think they are better than a lot of people will give them credit for. But let's preview this matchup.
Now, for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Now, the story for the Razorbacks has been Moses Moody so far. I love this freshman's game. At Avanta Verde Academy, he was arguably underrated because of the amount of talent on the team. There's like 4 guys on their starting rotation that are already starting in college and making big impacts on every team. So it makes sense why he's a little bit underrated because there was so much talent on that team. I think this guy really should have been a 5-star. I mean, you look at his impact on the team right now. He's the leading scorer at 16 points per game, and he's one of 6 guys on this Razorback team who are averaging double-digit points per game. That makes it easy when you have the amount of depth the Razorbacks has. I talk about that a ton because it really matters, especially when we go into conference play and against the better mid-major teams. The amount of depth that we have. And Moses Moody is just a fantastic shooter. 48% from the floor. And I know that seems, low for somebody being a fantastic shooter. I mean, I think that's good, though, considering he had a couple games to get over his, freshman hump. And he's 86.2% from the line. I think he's going to be a dangerous shooter. And when we get to SEC play, I think he could be in the category of like 50% from the floor. He's just that talented. I mean, every single time he shoots the ball, he makes smart decisions. He knows when to pass it. The chemistry with the team is already there. Now, on the defensive side of the ball is Connor Vanover, leading the team in rebounds at 9. And in case you didn't know, he's 7'3". It's easy to rebound when you're 7'3", and he's every single time there's like a dropped rebound, it crashes off the boards. He's just there and gets it. He does a fantastic job for the Razorbacks. 7.8% of his rebounds are from defensive rebounds. He's playing good minutes so far as well. I know there was concerns with, being really tall and all, but he's been playing pretty good minutes for the Razorbacks. And the team plays different with a strong center. They can rely on him to get every jump ball to start a half, get every board, and things along that nature. The team just plays so much better with him out there on the court. It makes the game easier for all of these guys on the court. Now, the most underrated player on this team is Jalen Tate. You look at the scorecard, and you may say, he's not underrated because he's a double-digit shooter. But the thing he does so well is he passes the ball around, creates shot opportunities for many of these guys. And just the chemistry he has with the team is really good as a guard. He knows when to pass the ball and who to pass it to, and I feel like when he's out there on the court, the team's chemistry is just so much smoother. And he's also a really good defender as well. And I forgot to mention about Vanover. He also leads the teams in blocks. Tate leads the teams in assists at 4.7. He's a playmaker, though. Very versatile player. He goes way beyond the scoreboard in terms of his impact on the team. And J.D. Note, the 6th man off the bench. A lot of people think he's been starting, but I like him off the bench. When he comes off the bench, he's a dangerous shooter, and some of these threes he's hit from deep have just been really impressive. Been able to close out games for the Razorbacks really well. So in a situation where we have a guy foul out in conference play or something, and he comes off the bench, I think he is going to perform as good as he has all season in that scenario. But just Note is going to be a problem for Oral Roberts, especially if Arkansas starts to pull away with the game. And I just love Justin Smith's game. He's just such a good guy at finishing the shots around the lower part of the court, and he can dunk. Just some of the dunks he's put on this year have been absolutely impressive. Those are SportsCenter top 10 dunks. Even though we're bowling out these teams, it's still awesome to see these guys have some fun and get themselves on the top page of SportsCenter, which I'm sure they all dreamed of being a little kid, being on that top page. I love Smith's game, though, and I love his ability to dunk as well. And I would also expect other young guys to come off the bench, especially if we pull ahead early. A lot of this bench is full of talented freshmen that will be at Arkansas for years to come. So to get them experience in these games is really important. And another guy on this team that a lot of people thought was granted eligibility was Kamani Johnson, but the transfer from UALR was not granted eligibility because he hasn't been, at campus taking classes. He was a transfer who moved in on December 16th, so he's not granted eligibility right now. Musselman and the Hogs put in a blanket waiver request for him, so he may be granted that. It's kind of tough to tell because I'm not a big researcher in that kind of stuff. I hope he gets that eligibility, though, because it's obviously a key point for the Razorbacks to get another guy on scholarship in Johnson. But close enough to talk about this Razorback team. Solid ball all around. 6 wins in a row at home, feeding off that home court advantage. Against UCA, they won 100-75 after they had a little bit of a slow start. It kind of concerned me, but the Razorbacks and Coach Musselman's team came out on top. They are averaging 91.3 points per game and only giving up 57.5. That's a very good margin of victory. And a big winning point in this game against Oral Roberts, I think they will be able to do, is they have the 24th lowest turnover rate in the country. Oral Roberts has the 226th rate on forcing turnovers. Razorbacks will be able to hold on to the ball and not allow Oral Roberts to take over the ball, and they won't be able to force turnovers. Big point for the Razorbacks going into this game. Guys to watch out for, though, as normal, Vanover, Moody, and then another guy off the bench. I'm going to say Devontae Davis. I'm going to have him in the double digits. Now, looking at Oral Roberts here, they've been able to keep games pretty close. They have a 5-point loss to Oklahoma State. Now, they had 2 common opponents with the Razorbacks, UT Arlington and Tulsa, but both of those games did not happen due to COVID-19 policies and things along that nature, so there's not really a direct comparison in any of the ways. I'll put Oklahoma State in there because Arkansas plays them in the Big 12 SEC Challenge later. Statistically, Oral Roberts is scoring 71.8 points per game and allowing 84.5. But the guy to stop for the Razorbacks is guard Max Abmas. He has 21.8 points per game out of the total 71.8 on the team. Averaging 30 minutes a game, he's going to be on that court for a long time. Leading the team in assists as well with 4.8. He's a do-it-all player. He can shoot the ball, he can pass the ball, and set up plays. This is going to be a guy that the Razorbacks are going to have to guard like Jalen Tate on, and then if he moves up to create shots, I would expect Connor Vanover to, try to get blocks and things like that. Also, getting fouls on him is important, as when a team's, best player foul is out, that hurts them a ton. And as I'm sure a lot of teams end up, trying to draw fouls on the best player in his game. That's just part of the game. But he's a great shooter, 58.6% from the floor and 47.9% from the three. This is not a guy you can give a ton of leeway and allow him to get open. I would expect Jalen Tate, though, to have a pretty good defensive game on him, and we will start to see why Jalen Tate is a do-it-all player. He can shoot, defend, pass the ball. He can even rebound in some situations. We also must out-rebound them so we don't have a situation where, they get the rebound and pass it back to Max Abmas. Just important to, stop them from creating shots because then Abmas won't be able, to put points on the board. Another guy to stop is Kevin Obenor, averaging 17.3 points per game, a pretty good shooter, and he's also a leading rebounder on the team at 8.8 rebounds per game. He's 6'8", and will probably be competing with Vanover for a lot of rebounds and stuff, but Vanover has a clear 7 inches on taller than him, so it'll be easier for Vanover. But you have to stop a guy like Obanor just because of his shooting ability and rebounding ability. Guys like this have easy potential to drop double-doubles. Lots of different guys on this team, though, to watch out for. Watch out for Justin Lovon out of the bench, RJ Glasper, Kareem Thompson, and Jamie Bergens. This is a very deep team. If you look at the statistics, they have probably over 15 guys who have playing time, and I feel like Oral Roberts is really experimenting with their roster to see what they should do when it's time to play conference play in the Summit League. This is Oral Roberts' final game before they move on to play in the Summit League. And this is a decent mid-major, however. They are picked to go number 2 overall in the Summit League in the preseason poll. And they are going to have a shot in the tourney, assuming they can get that, win in the Summit League tournament and get that auto bid, because an large bid for a school like them is really difficult. After this quick break, though, I'll be back talking about predictions for the game.
It's time for Sam's prediction. Sam's prediction.
I got Arkansas winning, obviously, 91-76. That's where I'm going to put the Hogs. And I think the big difference makers in this game for the Razorbacks to win this by the margin of 91-76 is to have Jalen Tate guard Abmas tightly. I just think Tate's a really good defender. Abmas is a really good shooter. And I think Vanover's going to have to control the middle and be able to out-rebound a lot of their players. So the team can overall out-rebound as a whole. I think we'll be able to stop that, and that'll result in Oral Roberts getting a little cold off the floor and not shooting as good as they have all game. Guys to create points, though, I would say Smith inside, finishing shots, and I'd say Moses Moody from the outside, creating threes, going to the line and getting those points. And a sleeper is JD Note off the bench. I love this kid's game, and I feel like as we get out big, we're going to put a lot of, the bench guys in, and Note's just the 6th player off the bench and has done pretty well. But for Oral Roberts, Max Abmas, I think he's going to drop 15+. Very talented player, and he's been playing pretty good in tough competition. Now, a new little feature prediction here is from @HoopPicks on Instagram. That's just @HoopPicks, nothing else. You guys should go check him out, though. He has freely daily predictions and stuff like that. And he creates his own model for predictions on this game. So I'm going to start getting his predictions from his, super analytical, mathematical. But he has Arkansas winning 88-71 against Oral Roberts. I also want to say I'm going to open up the voicemail for basketball here soon for conference play. So stay tuned for that. I'll give out that number again, and we will start taking some calls on the show. But make sure to follow my Twitter @AllHogSportsPod. I keep you guys updated on there more than any other social platform. You can find that in all social medias, and always to listen at AllHogSportsPod at allhogsports.com. We'll pig.
That's all for today's episode of All Hog Sports with Sam Stimpson. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episode covering all Arkansas Razorback sports. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media too. On Twitter and Instagram @AllHogSportsPod. Like on Facebook @AllHogSports and Arkansas Razorbacks Podcast. And on YouTube at that same name. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Go Hogs!